Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and very soon to Diablo 4's Season 7. Necromancer promises to be pretty insane this season, with the devs flat out saying that this will be the best season for minion Necromancer so far. But what's funny is that's probably not even going to be the best build for the season. With the new uniques tied to Bloodwave, you can spawn in 2 at once and slam them together, pulling enemies in at the same time. There's also the really cool Blood Spear concept, turning Bone Spear into a kind of blood skill, turning Bloodwave into a bone skill. But after that PTR, it was the Necromancer's Shadow Wave pull-in blood build that was unbelievably strong. They've nerfed the infinite scaling of it, but it still seems like it's going to be nuts. So really, you've got maybe 3 builds with extreme potential in Season 7. Where are you going to start? What are you going to level as? That's what I'm covering today. So what I picked is pretty straightforward for strong reasons. In my opinion, you either go raw damage minions, scaling your burst and instant damage as much as you can while the enemy health is low, so you can kill them instantly. On the other hand, you can go the tried and tested Blood Surge leveling setup, which does work in minions either way. So with the minions dealing great damage early, and then Blood Surge providing guaranteed overpower and serious AoE potential, it should be a very strong leveling season once again. The only thing that I'm not sure about is actually the season journey. Because every season they provide you with these caches that have important equipment. Often they try to influence what build you're using early initially, helping you get into the endgame with a functional build by providing useful things in these caches. So whatever we end up picking, I want you to pay attention to the season journey and the rewards within that if you can make use of them. They have said that the early chapters for the season journey are a bit too demanding for brand new players, which is interesting. So it should be even easier to get whatever rewards they're offering. On the other hand, something else that's changed for leveling is the class quests. They've made it so if you've already cleared that class quest already on the class you're currently playing, then you don't have to do it again. And you'll simply get the class passives at levels 15 and then 30. The moment you hit it, it's like you're just given it. That's what they've told us, so I'm thinking maybe at level 15 we're going to get some stuff to do with our passives for skeletons. And then at level 30, maybe that's when you get your golem. But despite the fact that we don't have to do the class quest anymore, you might still want to, because they've introduced these, a new archetype cache. You get these from different things, like the season journey, but also your class quest. In the case of what they showed for the class quest reward, it was 2 legendaries, crafting materials, and a tempering manual tied to the type of reward they got. So for the Sorcerer here, they got like a Pyromancer thing, so for fire-related theme. They said this could have been like lightning or frost or otherwise. So if you're leveling as Blood Surge, you might hope for a blood-themed cache from that. My concern with that is that we don't seem to be able to target what we want from it. So let's say you're playing Blood Surge and you get a cache for a totally different build you're simply not going to use. That would be almost a waste of time. So we'll have to see how it turns out. But with that explained, let's get into the incredibly effective Blood Surge leveling setup here. This is a character that I've just put to level 50 on the last season just to show you some visuals. Why this is so good is because it basically requires nothing to get going. There is one aspect that's going to power it a lot, and obviously you're going to want to get that, and it's this one, the Bloodbath aspect, which you can get super easy in this specific dungeon here, the Hoarfrost Demise. You could literally go do this at level 1, unlock that aspect, and then slam it onto a amulet, the first one you get, and then benefit from the big increase of Blood Surge damage. Combined with that, you actually have the raw levels of Blood Surge combined with the passives of either Supernatural or Paranormal. Paranormal gives you a guaranteed overpower, which is why it's so good, but in the early levels, this actually doesn't do a lot for you. So Supernatural means you get Fortify, and that increases the damage of Blood Surge in a more reliable way, at least initial level wise. Then maybe 15 levels in, you swap to Paranormal, and yeah, really nice to have. So we got guaranteed overpower through lots of different sources we'll talk about. However, spamming this ability does require a lot of essence, so a big part of the build is just kind of managing your essence for that spam. There's loads of sources for it. For example, the skeletal mages under cold, if you go for upgrade 1, every time they use their basic attack, you just gain 3 essence. They actually buffed this in the past to give even more. So yeah, that's a great source. Another source would be, say, Bone Prison, at least for a little while. When you get this upgraded with Ghastly, it means when you slam down a Bone Prison, that's 25 essence, and then an extra 5 per enemy trapped. So very early, briefly when you're running this is amazing for essence generation. Combine that, of course, with Corpse Explosion with Grim Harvest, so every time you consume a corpse with those explosions, you get 6 essence. Or the fact that we're of course using Raised Skeleton, so as you use that to buff up your skeletons, that's another burst of essence. And the classic Iron Maiden, just upgraded to enhanced, means it costs no essence to use and you gain 5 per enemy you curse. And since you're going to be cursing every enemy you see, this is a major source of essence super early. No special aspects needed, no like affixes stacking. Just raw essence gen there in the skill tree. In fact, there's one more aspect in the codex you can get that can really help if you still need more. Ferocious Rage means killing an enemy with core skills refunds a percent of the base cost. Basically meaning your AoE nature of Blood Surge gets cheaper, allowing you to spam it more. So you could put this on your ring and just keep that ring for ages. The only other aspect I want to highlight that isn't necessary by any means is blood boiling. It means when you overpower with your core skill, aka Blood Surge, you generate these volatile blood drops. And then when you collect them, they do this burst of physical damage, which is pretty incredible during AoE leveling. I wouldn't worry about this too much, but if you do find it and could just wear it for a while, that'd be nice. In terms of uniques, there are 3 that we would really benefit from. There's the Ring of Sacrilegious Soul, which you get from Varshan, by the way, if you're after it. So you could just go do him a couple times early and just try to get the ring. Because it provides that benefit where, you're getting the auto corpse explosions, the summons, and pull-ins. But the ring itself is awesome. It provides movement speed, corpse skill levels, and it actually gives you levels to Grim Harvest, which is the thing that's giving you more essence as you consume corpses. So you could double the amount you're getting from this, which would be comical. Otherwise, the other uniques you might find would be, say, the classic legs, Blood Moon Breaches. It means your minions are causing curse on target, you get some overpowered damage bumps. In fact, cursed targets get massive increased overpowered damage to them. Or Krua's Embrace, in fact, that could mean you don't have to use Corpse Explosion because your surges now consume corpses to AoE bigger and better. So there are even uniques that could really power you if you get lucky and find them. Let's talk about skills and skill tree then. As you can see, standing in town, I don't have everything we've just kind of referenced. I've got my skeletons, I've got Corpse Explosion, Corpse Tendrils, Iron Maiden, one of the new ultimates from last season, which is Soul Rift, which is amazing as we'll talk about, and of course, Blood Surge. Despite the fact that Golem is a pretty amazing pick and could be even better in this season, I'm not running it because it can't fit. In fact, I can't fit everything already, like I can't fit Bone Prison. This is because you want to run things initially and then transition into a more clean build once you have like enough essence gen and so on. So I'll explain that all basically now. So I'm standing here at level 50 just to show you the initial kind of leveling and then what will be next. Starting out, you'll have the basic attack of Hemorrhage as your obvious choice because it's going to be a great source of essence gen, reliable damage, and when you upgrade it, it can generate Fortify, which is going to be relevant for the build. But I wouldn't worry too much about this because it's just kind of a wasted spot. Once you have enough essence gen, there's no point even using it. So I'd actually take a point out here when I'm done. On the core skills, you just max out Blood Surge, and then as I said, you're going to be choosing between Supernatural and Paranormal. You want Paranormal, of course, but for the first like 10 and 20 levels, you're not overpowering for very much damage. Once you start to get some items, you've got some max life on stuff, suddenly it gets better and better, and that's when you want it. But when you first get this skill, you're honestly going to get more value out of Supernatural because as you get Fortify from this, you protect your health, and then you get more damage for the Blood Surge, which is awesome. But obviously long term and pretty early you'll swap to Paranormal. Here we also pick up Hewed Flesh to generate corpses so that we're able to be corpse exploding, generating essence and all that. Down onto the next tree then. Initially we're going to pick up 1 point in a corpse explosion and take that to Blighted because that's going to give it that nice shadow damage over time and make this a relevant skill for output. You want to 5 out of 5 it for damage, but it's not that important compared to getting your essence generation online. So we take 1 point Corpse Explosion, go into Blighted, then 3 out of 3 Grim Harvest, so that those corpses, whether you're using skeletons or Corpse Explosion, start to generate a lot of essence. Then you're going to pick up 1 level of Bone Prison and go into Ghastly Bone Prison. This just gives you a button you press to generate a ton of essence, which is great after you've been spamming Blood Surge. Also note that Skeletal Warrior Mastery is going to be amazing for your skeletons, but isn't as important as the other things I've just outlined. You come back here and put points in this and Corpse Explosion whenever you've got spare points. But right now you don't because you're coming down to Iron Maiden and taking it to Enhanced so that it doesn't cost essence anymore and it's just a great essence generation, spamming it on all targets at all time. Which is why you go 3 out of 3 Amplified Damage to increase the damage you're dealing to all the targets you're Iron Maidening. On this skill tree we do have Skeletal Mage Mastery, which is significantly more potent than Warrior Mastery, so you want 3 out of 3 on that as early as you can get it. And that brings us down here where we do have a lot of the blood passives, but initially you'll leave them alone. picking up 1 point in Corpse Tendrils, of course bringing that to Plagued for Vulnerable Gen and CC grouping up. And that brings us down to the ultimate tree, where we take Soul Rift to Prime, of course. Now it generates vulnerable to nearby enemies, it does this damage over time, absorbs souls, generates a barrier, protects your health, deals solid damage, and as you get the key passive, Affliction, the fact that it's generating vulnerable becomes very relevant for your output. Affliction means you get a damage bonus against targets afflicted by CC, of which we have many, and vulnerability, of which we've got a good amount, and they take increased damage from you and your minions at the same time, which is really nice. And also it's going to make our Curse skill of Iron Maiden even better. Now we're here, we can start to fill out the skill tree, picking up stuff we'd like that we were missing. So Inspiring Leader is really nice because when you're healthy, you get crit strike chance for you and your minions. Maxing out Soul Rift to make that more effective. We pick up Necrotic Carapace for Fortify. We come to our blood skills, our passives, and go for Coalesce Blood and Tides of Blood as your priorities. And when you have a couple points spare, pick up some points in Drain Vitality and Transfusion just to get them online, but they don't really matter, 1 point's pretty good. Over here, there's loads of passives we love, like Death's Embrace for close DR and damage, and of course movement speed with Death's Approach. You can even consider Precision Decay later for looking at chance. And I'll remind you that you'll be taking away your points in Bone Prison once you're down here spending points, once you've filled up your skill bar, and can no longer fit it. By that point, your Essence Gen should be good enough anyway. We'll maybe finish off Skeletal Warrior Mastery. You can consider Necrotic Fortitude and Titan's Fall. There's Fueled by Death for damage increase after consuming corpses. But as soon as you're pretty damn confident and comfortable with your Essence Gen, you're going to want to pick up Imperfectly Balanced, meaning it actually costs more to cast your Blood Surge, but it deals more damage. You want this as soon as you can deal with the Essence cost, but you won't be able to initially and not, until you're stable. So yeah, that's sort of level 1 or wave 1 going through it. And then you come back and fill out everything that you're missing. Your blood skill passives, your Imperfectly Balanced, and then all the utility stuff after that. Right, for the Book of the Dead, it's pretty straightforward. Skeletal Warriors on upgrade 2, so they're more likely to generate corpses, because of course you're going to want a lot of them. Skeletal Mages on Cold upgrade 1 for the Essence Gen. And then Golem, I've got it sacrificed under Bone because the attack speed means we can spam out Blood Surge faster, so we get to the overpower sooner. This kind of sucks because having a Golem would be really nice, and I'd be looking at Iron with upgrade 2 to slam and pull in enemies, which would be really cool. But, we just don't have enough space on the skill bar. In regards to the first Paragon board, when you do get there, just fill it out like so, and get whatever first glyph you can actually trigger that's going to be relevant to this board. You're going to have to collect them, and what you're going to get first is RNG, obviously. So, Essence, Dominate, Corporeal, all of those are going to be great choices for this. For the first board to expand into, I would consider Bloodbath because it's going to be great for overpowered damage increases. Right, let's talk about the seasonal power, Witchcraft powers. You've got 25 total, and there's 3 main archetypes, Eldritch, Psyche, and then Growth and Decay. Outside of that, there's a kind of rarer, more important one like the Lost powers. But yeah, to keep it straightforward, they're kind of similar to runes. We don't know what you're going to get in what order or what rank, how quick you are going to be ranking these up. So the best I can really do now is reference what looks interesting and potent. So, starting with the Aura of Laman. This is an essence generation tool, which is obviously important to us. You strike enemies, you cause this aura on them, and that slows it and nearby enemies. For more enemies in that aura, you gain more resource. And the aura moves when that enemy dies to the next target. So every 30 seconds you get this nice boost to your essence to spam even more Blood Surge. Sounds good. On that note, obviously we like overpower damage. Force of Will is a good option for that. When you kill an enemy, your next overpower deals increased damage. Amazing. One to consider might be Grow. After casting an ultimate skill, your minions are empowered with dark magic, growing larger and dealing bonus damage. Sounds like it has some potential if you happen to get that. In regards to really potent stuff, we're looking at the lost powers like the Paran-Nado. When an enemy is afflicted by both a hex and an aura, the Nado is summoned, pulling enemies towards it, dealing physical damage. Looks hilarious, looks very strong. But you'll need to be running both hexes and aura effects for that. So Aura of Lament is obviously a good choice. And if I had to pick a Hex of Whispers looks pretty reasonable. There's also under Lost Powers, Aura Specialization, increasing the size of your aura and the bonuses, and Hex Specialization as well go pretty hand in hand with this concept. But I would assume that Lost Powers are going to be the harder to get options. We'll see. Now on that note, in terms of unknowable power you're going to get at the right time, there's runes. And the only real one that I'm going to reference is Lum, because that restores primary resource. It doesn't require a ton of offering either. There are a bunch of things that you could combine with this to make it work, such as Pock. That's one that generates offering as you spend essence, so they go hand in hand. But there's lots of options you could have for generating offering for that spend. It's going to be complete RNG what you find though. And in my experience last season, I didn't really get them remotely as fast. So I do hope that they've made some big changes to how smoothly we actually get runes going in this new season. On the topic of mercenaries, it doesn't seem that exciting. This whole mechanic isn't that exciting right now. So I would just recommend a pretty standard pick. You've got Vayana as your main because Massacre's very effective, but she also provides you with a lot of attack speed. And again, attack speed means you're able to spam out Blood Surge faster, which is what we want. So it's a pretty good option. Then with your second mercenary, it can be whatever you want, but a pretty classic safe pick is always Rahir because he has Bastion. It's just like a bubble that comes down for massive damage reduction and even provides you with some unstoppable. But there you have it. That's my overview of the Blood Surge leveling plan. A light mix of minions and the potency of Blood Surge, which requires so little to get to work so well in terms of hard to find aspects or items. This should allow you to get max level very quick and start unlocking the initial Paragon points in a strong, effective way. Then we'll transition into the main build we're going to work through into the endgame from this, and I'll be back with an update on exactly that as I'm there, not probably long into the season. For now though, I hope this was useful, and until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.